Have you heard of a phenomenon called lying flat? It's a recent trend among the Chinese youth. People are so flat out tired of working that they just lie down on a couch, on grass, frankly anywhere. And they simply lie there doing nothing. They actively chalk out time to be idle. Because in China, idleness is a form of rebellion, a way to push back against the damaging and inescapable burnout culture, where people work long hours, brave endless competition, and push their bodies to the breaking point. Because this is the reality of work culture in China. This is a Chinese woman traveling on a Shanghai subway with an intravenous or IV drip inserted in her hand. She's holding a bottle of fluid over her head on the way to work. Why? Because she's unwell. But she can't take a day off, much like many other workers in China. And they are all exhausted. Why won't they be? There's record unemployment in China. 1 in 5 young people in Chinese cities are out of work. The job market is shrinking, pay scale is falling. So people who are employed are fiercely holding on to their jobs, doing their best to stay on board no matter what. The result? A difficult work commute with a banana bag over the head and a needle in the arm. It is safe to say that China's work culture is toxic. The irony is, it's not without a fan following. Remember when Chinese tech tycoon Jack Ma famously called the 996 a blessing? 996 is their so-called work culture, where people work 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. Employers have enforced this across sectors for the longest time. In 2021, Chinese authorities took action against the 996. They issued a stern reminder to companies, saying that such punishing work schedules are illegal. It was China's clearest warning against the toxic culture of overwork. Yet, the situation remains grim. According to China's labor laws, a standard workday is 8 hours, with a maximum of 44 hours a week. Any work beyond that requires extra pay for overtime. But this has not been well enforced. In fact, in many of the country's biggest firms, employees aren't compensated for working overtime. The government takes a hands-off approach, and a culture of overwork thrives, all while oozing toxicity, which is inextricably tied to the new age narrative of hustle culture. It promotes the idea that there's always more to strive for, more money to make, a bigger title to chase, or a supposed higher ceiling to break. So working bees must do more, be more, and never say never. But don't be mistaken, this unhealthy culture is not limited to China. Studies show that workers around the world put in an average of 9.2 hours of unpaid overtime per week. Gambia, Mongolia, Maldives, Qatar, and India are some of the most overworked countries in the world. Here, work weeks stretch up to over 48 hours. South Koreans work an average of over 1,900 hours a year. That's nearly 200 more than the OECD average. Meanwhile, neighboring Japan averaged over 1,600 hours. Both these countries are notorious for their tough work culture. So much so, death by overwork is widely reported phenomenon here. Yes, people are literally working themselves to death. And if not death, then adverse lifelong health problems like body aches, stroke, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, anxiety, and even depression. Work cultures view people as replaceable machine parts who toil in a dehumanized workplace. And yet, we continue to rise and grind, move fast and break things and hustle harder. We unknowingly join the cult of overwork, only for it to be a fast track to burnout and sometimes even death. Work till you drop has become our life motto, but it's time to change that. We need to lift our nose from the grindstone and take a long, hard look at our sweatshop, where glorification of overwork hails supreme, and we are told our work is our worth. Overwork may be the price we pay for success, but at what cost?